Hello, everybody. This is the Earful Tower podcast. My name is Oliver G, and I think it's fair to say that I usually have my finger on the pulse of the trends in Paris, and today's subject is no exception. In fact, I have my chalked fingers on the pulse, on the very pulse of this trend, which is climbing, bouldering, rock climbing. It seems to be taking over Paris. There's a lot of history involved with the city of Paris and its sort of surroundings. And I figured it's a topic that's a bit different, and we should get into it today with none other than my special guest, Daniel Christensen. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm really good. And I'm pretty sure after 7 or 8 years of this podcast, you're the first Dane I've had on.
Oh, wow.
Is that?
Glad to be here.
Oh, it's also your first podcast.
It's my first podcast, yeah.
So this is exciting times.
First of something, yeah.
Before we get into anything, I think we should set the scene. You work in a cafe near this studio.
I do. Café Caractère.
Okay, that's like one of these new age cool coffee shops.
It is indeed.
What kind of customers are you bringing in there?
It's anyone. It's tourists and it's locals there. It's people who really enjoy good coffee.
Yeah.
And yourself.
Yeah. And you being a coffee guy and a bouldering guy, does that make, I hate to say hipster, but is that like a hipster kind of thing?
Yeah, it seems a bit like
Is it like a modern hipster, like a 2024 hipster?
Yeah, I don't think I want to be, but yeah, I guess I am.
Yeah. The way I remember how we met is I came in for a coffee one day and you made a flat white, which was delicious. I picked it up and you said, by God, look at your grip on that cup. You must be a rock climber. Is that what happened?
You must be the best, yeah.
Is that what happened?
Maybe I'm having a bad memory, but yeah, something like
Something
this.
like that. And since then, I've come to the coffee shop a bunch of times. We even went climbing one time together.
We did.
It turns out that you're something of an expert in the field, and I would go as far as saying addicted to the sport.
I am addicted, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Expert.
I think it comes as part of the territory, but also you're going to be a volunteer at the Olympics. So these are all the things I want to talk about. But I think, like, we had a cool conversation about this in the cafe one day. How, maybe we put it into perspective first. There'll be people listening who have no interest in bouldering. Bouldering, is that?
Yeah, that's what I do.
What's the difference between rock climbing and bouldering?
So basically, you have what people traditionally know of is called rock climbing or sport climbing. It's where you have a harness on, you have a rope, and you have someone belaying you,
Yep.
and you climb somewhat a tall mountain, or you do it indoors.
Yep.
What I do is slightly different. It's called bouldering, and it's somewhere between like 2 and 5 meter tall.
Right.
Like the routes and the problems that we're doing. But we don't have any harness or any belaying systems on. There would always be some kind of like mat underneath us if we fall.
Yeah.
But then it's just us and whatever we are trying to get on top of.
So what, it's like more about agility, or is it more like thinking, or?
There's a lot of thinking and agility. There's a lot of strength, and you really have to, like, can be a little bit difficult to say exactly what the difference between the two sports are compared to like if it's only endurance or if it's only strength, because both require some part of it.
Yeah.
But for sure, bouldering is a little bit more compact, so you have it in a shorter route. So it will be a little bit more strength based, where rock climbing or like sport climbing is a little bit more endurance based. But you can still have bouldering that requires endurance, and you can still have sport climbing that requires a lot of strength.
Can you tell by a person's hands just looking at it? When you look at my hand, what are you like, this guy's got it, or can you tell?
So the thing is, like, when I started climbing, I had like quite small, thin fingers, and I know people on the podcast can't see this right now, but they're not.
We can
thin.
describe them. No, I wouldn't say they're fat fingers either, but they look like they've seen some work.
So I had thin fingers before I started climbing, so something definitely happened.
Right.
But you don't really have muscles in your fingers that can grow, so it's a little bit tricky to get into. But
they just toughen up the knuckles,
in the joints and everything. Yeah, they get a little bit bigger.
Okay, I want to talk. Like I said, I don't fear that people that listen to this show won't want to listen to us talk about it, but I am conscious that I want to set it straight why I think it's interesting to people, because when I say that it's a trend here, it's like these bouldering centers are opening up quickly, right? And not just as bouldering centers, but in cool, unexpected places. So there's one near where the studio is, they're called Climbing District, at least some of them are called Climbing District. And in a city like Paris where there's no space for anything, I don't know how they found The one near Bastille, I don't know how they found it because
it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. But then I found out there's one in a church.
Yes.
What's going on there? Have you been to that one?
I haven't been yet. It's on my to-do list for sure. It sounds incredible.
What do you know about it?
I don't know that much about this one. It looks really cool from pictures, and I saw like a video from there, but I have no idea on how they got into this. If it's, I don't know who.
This is if once you get in, I don't know. Firstly, I don't know how you get into a church for anything, to make anything besides church stuff. It seems like this is a sign of the progression of this as a sport. But also, as we've talked about before, I know it goes a lot further back, especially to Fontainebleau. Fontainebleau. For those who haven't heard it, we're talking like how long does it take to train out there?
It's 38 minutes from Gare de Lyon.
This is how everyone at home is going to know that Daniel's real, obsessed with bouldering. 38 minutes from Gare de Lyon, and then
50 kilometers.
And then a car ride to get to the next place.
Yeah.
The way I learned that you were obsessed was that you bought a car. Let's get this right here. You bought a car to park at the Fontainebleau
train station.
In fact, let's rewind. You moved to Paris to be close to Fontainebleau.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I moved here 1.5 years ago, and my primarily from Denmark.
Yeah.
And primarily focus was going to be to do outdoor climbing.
Are there other people who've moved to Paris to be close to this?
For sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Like Fontainebleau. So Fontainebleau is like one of the best places in the entire world to go climbing.
Yeah.
And I used to go here a lot on holidays and vacations from Denmark. Denmark is a flat country.
Yeah.
So doing outdoor climbing
how
is
annoying
a
for
little
you.
bit...
the wrong sport. You should have been a cyclist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we had to go on vacations every time we want to do outdoor climbing. So we train indoors.
Yeah.
And then on our vacations, we go somewhere. And Fontainebleau is one of the peaks that I have went to quite a lot of times.
Right. And then eventually you're like, just think I'll just live in Paris. Why didn't you want to live in Fontainebleau?
So I moved there with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we both also wanted like a big city vibe and being somewhere where there's a lot of culture and a lot of other stuff going on. Wanted to work somewhere, and 38 minutes is not that far away. So I was like, okay.
And then you got a car so that when you get off the train at the other end, you can drive straight to the because it's kind of in the middle. It's like off the edge of a highway out there.
So you potentially you could just take the train and you can just walk directly into the forest and start climbing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Paris, as many people might know, it's not the best place to get like huge apartments. So we have a 17 square meter apartment. Mm-hmm. And for bouldering, you need these quite big mattresses to bring into the forest.
Yeah.
And 17 square meter apartment having like 2, 3, 4 mattresses will just take up all the space.
So your car is storage as well?
My car is just storage.
Wow. What sort of car is it?
It's a Peugeot.
Is it just a cheap one?
Well, it was cheap. It's a station wagon, a bit old one.
This is incredible to me. Like, I didn't realize when you told me that people went so in such. I know because I've been out there. I've been with people who've been climbing out there, and I was just watching. This is like
it's a beautiful place as well.
It's unreal. I'm going to add pictures. Maybe you got some pictures you can send me that we can share with people. But it's unreal, and I don't think it's what people would expect. If you're driving through Utah right now and imagining the boulders of Fontainebleau, it's not. It's kind of like they're big circular boulders often. Like it's not like cliffs.
Can I set the scene?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So like we kind of call it the magical forest. And it's just amazing. Like you go there, there's sand everywhere. It's almost like you're on the beach, but you have like birch and pine trees everywhere. You have small hills, and you have these like beautiful, for me at least, like beautiful rock and formations. It's just amazing. It feels like you're in like some weird adventure, and you're just like, wow, this is the place.
But they're not that high either. No. Like I know you're using a lot of meters here, and you might be frightening Americans. But what average height are we talking about here?
Average height might be like 3 meters.
So that's 10 feet, like a basketball ring.
Yeah.
So it's quite like when I went out there, I was expecting it to be like the Grand Canyon, not huge like that, but sort of you fall to your death.
Yeah.
But it seemed manageable, and I get what you mean about like not to mention that magical aspect you talked about. The people who are out there are in this really super friendly community where everyone's helping each other. It seems like everyone's on like little day trips with their mattress and with their snacks and with their chalk and everything, and like hiding away in these little pockets. And I was out there with no map or I didn't know what I was doing. And every time I turned a corner, I was like, oh, look at this. This is another little world that's just opened up.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's quite interesting to be there. You have people also like going there for hikes and they go on their bike or anything, but it's quite special with bouldering because people a lot of people, they live for bouldering. They do this as
you
not
live
just
for bouldering.
I live for bouldering. Yeah. They don't just do it for like a small hobby. They're really passionate.
Yep.
So this is like a huge playground for them. So as soon as they're there, they're just happy. They're in their happy zone.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to be with these people, and it's so fun. Like everyone is talkative and they help each other, supportive. You like bring the pets, and then everyone just shares it and shares food, coffee,
and everyone's cheering each other on as well.
Yeah. And you're helping each other. Like when you're falling from, like, let's say you're falling from like 3 or 4 meters.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a mattress.
Yeah.
But you would also want someone down there. It's called spotting.
Yeah.
Where you spot the person falling. So you kind of like guide and help them towards the mattress and make sure their head is not falling like just outside the mat or on a rock or landing wrong. So it's really supportive. It's really a great community.
What about, can you talk us through, like, it's all like scripted sort of a little bit. People have written out the difficulty of particular routes on these rocks. Can you explain that to me or to people who don't understand?
Yeah. So there's a grading scale system, actually called the Fontainebleau grading scale.
For the world?
For the world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So in US, you have a V scale, which is a little bit different, but they're similar in theory. But the Fontainebleau scale is like a numerical system grading the difficulty of a certain problem. It's what boulders call a problem. A route or like the line.
You call it a problem?
We call it a problem. And so like for a specific problem, they would have a name and they would have an indication of the difficulty of this block. So it could be something like 6A.
And when you say it's got a name, what do you mean, like Charlie?
So that's the thing. This is a quite fun thing for me, at least. It's a very so the first guy who does a boulder is the guy who chooses the name. So everywhere,
kind of like when you find a dinosaur.
Yeah. I haven't found one yet, but yeah.
What, a dinosaur?
Yes.
So the first person who gets to the top, the aim is to get to the top.
The first ascensionist.
And then they name it anything they want.
Yeah, and they give like their idea of the grading. Right now, they'd be like, oh, this is 7A, and I'll call it Bob Marley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And if I mean, like, so you mean they find a different way up a rock that's already been climbed before, presumably?
So if it's been climbed before, it always has a name and.
But what if they find a different way to do it? Doesn't matter.
That would not make it a new problem. It will just make the one that's already there easier or more difficult or like eliminate of what's already there.
Yeah. And you, because I heard you talking to some other people who were going out to Fontainebleau, like you personally are like, I got to get out there this weekend because I want to try and tackle the problem of Bob Marley 7A or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
For the there'll be rock climbers listening for sure. What level are you at?
I've climbed 8A plus in blue scales.
Yep.
And I regularly climb like 7C, 8A and when I go there.
And for regular people like me, what does that mean? You're bloody good, isn't it? That's what it means.
I'm decent.
Yeah. So now I'll do some perspective. I said to Daniel, look, a friend of mine, actually Sam Barantas, who's been on this show fairly recently, he invited me to go climbing with him. I said, I'll come along. Sounds like fun. And I bought 10 passes so I could go 10 times. And after like 4 or 5 times after we met and we got talking, and I sensed when you said that you had a car in Fontainebleau, I was like, this guy really knows his stuff. Do you want to go climbing together? And we went climbing together, and I saw Daniel. There's a bit of a wall where, I don't know, it's like in the middle of the building. And if I were to design a wall to be as hard to climb as possible, I'm talking not the one that leans over, but those big round things. Like it looks like dinner bowls upside down on a wall. You just climbed up it. It was one of the most sensational things I've ever seen. I took a video. I might share it actually. Oh, yeah? But for me, that puts you. I don't know what the 8As and all that are, but that puts you at a very impressive level. Now I've done a very nice compliment there, but can you tell the people at home what I'm like as a climber?
Yeah, you are fun to climb with.
Fun to climb with? What, personality-wise?
Yeah, exactly.
Christ, okay.
No, you're good, man. You haven't been climbing for that long. And I told you straight
4
away,
hours.
okay, wow, you're way better than you told me.
So, really?
Yeah, I said to you, no?
Yeah. I don't remember. I was just nervous. I was nervous. No, but it's cool. It's really fun to be doing something so different in Paris. I always find it.
And also, I think actually one of the reasons, not recent I moved here, but like when I moved here, I was like, okay, I'll just move to this country. I have no friends, no family here, no nothing.
Yeah.
But I have the climbing community.
Yeah.
So I just moved there being like, okay, I'll go to the climbing centers and I'll meet people.
Yeah.
Like first day in a climbing gym, I already met friends that I was with last weekend as well, and people that
that doesn't surprise me at all. Exactly. Everyone's so nice there, so nice. Hey, were you there when the Earful Tower listener came up and started talking to me?
Yes, I was.
Were you there for that?
Yeah.
There you go. So there's even Earful Tower. There you go. So Earful Tower listeners are boulderers as well. I wanted to go back to Fontainebleau because you told me something that talks about the history of this sport and France as well. It was something you told me that the people who were bouldering there were training for something else, and then they ended up. What was that? Do you remember? Like they're training for mountain climbing or something?
Yes,
it's like how the sport started, right?
Exactly. Yes, well, it was like mountaineering alpinists, people who were training for going to climb on big mountains. And because they couldn't go big mountains every single weekend, they will start actually training for it in Fontainebleau. Because you have these rock formations, they can be like between 2 and 6 meter tall, the blocks in Fontainebleau.
Yeah.
And so they would go there, they would do what's called a circuit, parkour, and they would do like loads of them in a row. So not the bouldering we know today, where we just go there, we try to climb one block, and if we succeed, we're happy.
Yeah.
They did easier ones, but loads in a row
for
training for the alpinist. And then I think it's just, what I'm assuming at least, is that people did the training and then slowly found out, hey, this is quite fun.
Yeah, this is more fun than climbing a mountain
next
next weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not go to the mountain. Let's stay here and let's do harder single ones. So I think it started, don't hang me up on this one, but I think it started in like late 18th century, but start of 19th century.
Yeah.
They did the training. And then I know like officially bouldering became a thing in Blow in 1950s.
Yeah.
You had the first guidebook and you had people like...
Did you call it Blow just then? Fontainebleau?
Yeah. Fontainebleau.
Nice, okay. Is that a thing or is that just what Danes do?
No, it's called Fontainebleau.
Okay, yeah, but you just said Blow.
Did I? Oh,
yeah.
Shoot. No, it's not.
I know that about that time, late 1800s, 1900s, there were a lot of French alpinists going around Europe, especially climbing to the tops of the mountains. Even in Sweden, I remember reading about that. So I wonder if that was all connected at the same time, trying to be the first to the top of the mountains and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't surprise me. I want to talk about the Olympics, but before we get to it, I want to... I'm curious if you think it would be fun for a tourist or a traveler or someone who lives in Paris who has no interest in ever trying to climb one of these rocks. Do you think you could recommend going out to Fontainebleau and seeing it?
Yeah, so for sure. Like, of course, I'm a little bit biased. Bouldering is...
Take yourself out of your own rock climbing boots for a second.
Yeah, if I'm doing that, I'm like, yes, it's so beautiful out there. You have the chateau, which is quite nice. And so if you go to Fontainebleau, the train station, which is only like 40 minutes away from here, you can
38
go for...
even.
38? Yeah. Okay. You can go for just like take a day trip there and go for a hike in the forest. It's super beautiful, and if the weather is nice...
But if you do walk into the forest from the trains... I mean, I've been there before, and I did this once. I remember it was so sandy, I was on a bicycle, and I was like, it didn't really work for cycling in the forest.
Yeah.
But I can imagine it'd be really lovely for walking. But can you walk to where you're bouldering?
You can walk 2 bouldering areas from the train station. Actually, if you take the train and you take it one step further or before Fontainebleau, you have places there. So boulderer, only 32 minutes away.
Yeah.
You have direct access to the forest, and the bouldering starts like 20-minute walk. You will have the first blocks there.
I hate to bring in something a bit negative, but aren't there a lot of prostitutes in that forest as well?
There is a lot of prostitutes.
Yeah. Are they hanging around the bouldering areas as well?
In some areas, yes.
Yeah. Because I remember the way you know is when you're on the highway driving, they stand on the side of the roads there.
Yeah.
Does that interfere with the bouldering?
They are not actually where the bouldering blocks are.
Yeah.
So there would be you would notice them like on the way there, but actually like car park or at the blocks where we do bouldering, they won't be around. I assume they want like privacy.
Yeah.
So,
but maybe there's customers among the boulderers. But what is that?
It's already met there.
Sometimes you see cars parked on the side of the highway. Is that for people going bouldering, or do you think that's
either
prostitutes? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The mysteries of Paris know no ends. The Olympics.
Yes.
The Olympics are heating up. You volunteered. I don't know how you managed this. You volunteered. And as I understand, if you volunteer for the Olympics, you don't get a say in what you do.
you can kind of like say, I'm really good at this, or I really love this.
Yeah.
Please, let me help here. But no, you don't really have a say. You kind of indicate when you will be available to help, and So I think you do like a quite big test, and then that test will define what kind of roles.
What was the test that you did?
It's just any like personality test.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember the questions?
Oh no, it's so long. It's like 1.5 years ago.
But like,
it's just like in this situation, would you do this or this? And then they will be like, they have a list of like, let's say 5 things or something. Like we think you could be good in these positions. Right. Any of them that you would volunteer doing, and then you pick 2 or 3 of them, and then in the end they will pick the one for you, and
Okay,
exactly.
and you put a little asterisk and said really like rock climbing and bouldering, knowing that it's the first Olympics ever to feature it, right? Second? Yes. Okay. There are new ones this year.
So what's new this year is, last time there was Olympics, there was a combination of 3 sports. Yeah. So it's sport climbing, the one with the rope and the belayer. Yep. And then you have speed climbing and bouldering. Right. And these were combined into one medal. And now speed climbing is like put aside because speed climbing is quite different than the 2 other sports. Yeah. So you still have a sport climbing and bouldering who is like combined into one medal. Yeah. So this is what's going to be new for this Olympic.
Right. Okay. And you're and so they emailed you back and said, yeah, cool, you can come in for 4 days. That's fine with us. But you don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. So there will be like a training day quite soon. And maybe I'll get to know a little bit more what I'm going to do there. Yeah.
But you could be doing anything from like cleaning toilets to cleaning chalk off the wall, maybe.
Yeah. No, it seems like I'm going to be with what they call the Olympic family. So I'm going to be with I think it's the VIP guest going to see the shows. So maybe checking their armband, checking their identity, or helping them in the
or like pouring champagne for some rich family or something like that.
I hope I can do that and then watch the finals and stuff myself and not pour too much champagne on them.
The worst would be, like if you ever go see a football game and all the security sits on the pitch, but they look at the crowd and you can tell that or at a concert, you can tell they want to be part of it. That might be you. You might not see anything.
That'll be horrible. I have tickets for the climbing myself as well.
You have tickets as well as being a volunteer. Yes. I don't know if that's allowed.
I'm not sure either. I emailed them last week. They haven't responded yet. So
what do you think about generally? I mean, even just from a bouldering perspective, I think there's a bit of a consensus that the Olympics that they're out of their depth a little bit with it. Are you getting this sense or the opposite?
I thought so as well.
Yeah.
And so we had this big volunteer convention 2 weeks ago or something. And this was quite well organized, which I was happy about. And there at the convention, so it was all the volunteers were invited to this big convention here in Paris.
Online or?
No, no, it was Stade de France.
Right.
And so we went there and everything was quite well organized and a lot of people showed up. Yep. And they told us there that actually they are on track with a lot of stuff, especially the volunteering part. All the other stuff I'm not quite sure of, but the volunteering part, it's going well. The tickets worked and the queuing systems, they were like testing different things, I assume.
I've got high hopes for the Olympics because I think French people are famed for putting on amazing dinner parties. They know how to be a host. Yeah. And I suspect that they'll put on the greatest.
I hope so as well. So presumably it's going to be the first, what they're trying to at least, it's going to be the first Olympic in the entire world that's going to be open to public more.
Yeah.
So
what do you mean, like the most open to what do you mean?
So for the first time, for example, they're going to be the opening ceremony. Yeah. It's going to be open for anyone.
I see, yeah.
So they're going to be like on the Seine and then going, people can just show up there and watch the opening ceremony. It's quite a big thing.
Is that for sure? I think you might need to get some sort of tickets or QR code or something to get. Just the
fact you have that to people get tickets for like the end. So you can just anywhere.
So if you can get a spot on the Seine,
it's for free to.
Yeah. Okay.
So stuff like this, and they're going to have like 60 big screens around Paris for all the different.
And do you get any special benefits of being a volunteer? Do you get anything out of it?
I don't think so.
Besides helping, which is the whole point of volunteering, of course.
No, I'm just happy to help there, and it's going to be amazing for me. I get a lot of my some people I've met as well for climbing, but idols as well. People I look up to, people that I really think are good climbers. I'm going to see them there. I'm going to help with the venue, and I think it's going to be amazing. I'm happy to help.
Okay. I'm gonna.
I think I get 20% on like the online platform or something.
20% on the online platform
Like
for
for
merchandise and stuff like that. Okay. What about as an athlete yourself and as someone who's helping with the Olympics? Are there other things that you're excited about for these Olympic Games? Are there things that you particularly?
So I have a small, tiny hope that when I'll be volunteering at the Olympics, and maybe after the athletes are going to be like they left and all the spectators left, maybe I can try some of the.
Wow!
That would be amazing.
Just jump up on the
I'll
wall.
bring my shoes and see if I don't know if it's going to be possible.
Who was the athletes for the Olympics? They're not the famous guys off YouTube at all.
Probably not the ones you know,
yeah,
or the ones people know in general. Like it's for sure the ones that I watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not. I assume you talk about like Magnus Midtbø or something like this. No, he won't be.
Who were the ones that we saw filming when we were there?
Who did? We saw Emil Abrahamsen.
Yeah.
Hey,
he might be listening. You never know.
He might be listening. Yeah. Hi, Emil.
Hey, Emil. Let's finish this up. Let's forget about climbing for a second.
Yep.
Let's talk about Paris for the last couple of minutes. How long have you been living here now?
I've been here for 1.5 years.
What do you think about the city?
Oh, I love it.
It's
super nice.
As a Danish person with interest in bouldering and coffee, does the city speak to you, or is it just kind of like a base for other things?
So no, the city is really nice. I really love it here. Yeah, so much stuff going on, like live concert and like events all the time. And my girlfriend and I would really love going to this stuff. This is why we moved. So Denmark is quite small.
Yeah.
So the city we live in, Aarhus, is a small city.
Aarhus.
Yeah. And not a lot of stuff is happening there. So that's why we wanted to move to a bigger city to see what's going on here. A lot of stuff we can do and have a good time.
Yeah.
We're gonna move back to Denmark in half a year.
Yep.
So 2 years is it's the amount of time here.
Do Danes typically like Paris? Is there a good relationship there? Like, do a lot of Danes come over here?
I think it's quite good, actually.
Yeah.
It's not easy to go here, but quite easy, I would say, compared to other places. Flight-wise, you even drive here, and
Okay, cool.
And I quite like it. And for climbing, there's so many indoor climbing gyms and in the city for coffee.
Yeah.
I work with Danish coffee at Café Caractère, and that's a cool combination.
Well, let's finish on coffee. Café Caractère is a really nice spot for a specialty coffee. Can you tell me another one or two places that you highly recommend?
Yeah, for sure. So you could go to Clove, or you can go to Clove at Montmartre.
In Montmartre?
Yes, and you can go to...
Clove
have you been to Cabane?
I heard of it. In the 11th?
I think we talked about it. Yeah, exactly.
I haven't been to either of them. Where's Clove? Clove with a K or a C?
C. C-L-O-V-E.
Whereabouts is it?
Oh, man, don't put me on the spot for it.
You've only been here for... I used to live in Montmartre. So.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, I've got to look it up. Clove and Cabane.
Cabane and Café Caractère.
There's 3 cafes for everybody who has no interest in bouldering but has listened to us for 28 minutes. Now they have something that they can do too. No, but honestly, I think I agree with you, because I went to Fontainebleau to watch the bouldering before I had any interest in bouldering at all, and I still found it really, like you said, magical and peaceful.
Exactly.
And I think people would get a lot out of it, and it's the kind of thing that you'd come back after visiting Paris and being like, wow, I actually did something exceptional that I wouldn't typically have thought to do. So thanks for that tip, Daniel. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for teaching me how to boulder, and thanks for making delicious coffees.
It's my pleasure. Anytime.
So there you have it. That was Daniel Christensen, a Danish boulderer. A Danish boulderer. A lovely guy, makes great coffee. You can find him in the Café Caractère in the 11th arrondissement, or you could probably find him in Fontainebleau by the sounds of it. I think it really is worth it. If you've done the main things in Paris and you want to see something different, something outside of Paris, but not too far away, go and check out that forest and the boulderers. You won't regret it. There'll be pictures and information in the show links below, but especially on the earfultower.com, the website. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these Olympic Games will be like too. On a whole different note, speaking about Paris and speaking about this summer, I hardly ever talk about it, but tours. I do walking tours of the Marais and Montmartre. Me personally, I've been doing the Marais every Monday morning for a long time now. Semi-private tours, which mean you might be totally by yourself, you might be with a handful of other people, but you get the same tour and you will love it. At least that is what the other people typically say if you look at the reviews online. A huge congratulations to Ellie, who's 11 years old and was on a recent tour with me. And sometimes I give points for people who answer things correctly or who say things that bamboozle me in a good way. And I think she had 14 points at the end, which was enough to beat everybody else on the tour. And I can't say for certain, but I think it's the highest score we've ever had on Earful Tower walking tour. So congratulations to Ellie. Thanks for doing the walk, and thanks to your family for coming. Come and do your own tour, theeirfultower.com/tours. Maybe you'll meet me and score more points than Ellie. I doubt it, but certainty is that you'll have a good walk around Paris. Let us show it to you, theeirfultower.com/tours. Thank you for listening to this episode. I'll be back again next week with another one. Merci beaucoup, and au revoir.